Hello, everyone. Welcome to Serendipity Wines Appellation Deep Dive Series. Every great wine communicates a sense of place. Each one of those wines has a story to tell, the history, the journey, the collected knowledge of each vintage, all accumulated in a glass. It is our aim at Serendipity Wines to give you a glimpse behind the scenes and bring you some of the magic of wine a little closer to home.
All right, so benvenuti everybody. Welcome to the Montalcino edition of the Icon series. I'm really excited to be here. Of course, excited to be with our wineries today and to all of you around Texas. Of course, I'm emotionally attached to this beautiful land and the subzone of Montalcino. I really enjoy this beautiful adventure with Serendipity, with everybody. First of all, because we like to deliver service. Second of all, we like to build community, really important for us as a small company. And of course, grow together, because more we grow, and more you guys can grow as a customers with us. For us, it's really important. As I said, we will go into Montalcino today and briefly story about Montalcino, a briefly story about the appellation. That is a beautiful cartoon made or scratch made picture of Montalcino, which our marketing team put together. Where is Montalcino? Montalcino is in Tuscany. We are in a center north of Italy, on a heart of Italy. I like to call it that way. And Montalcino is 45 minutes south of Siena, which is one of the two most important cities in Tuscany with Florence. Also, Montalcino is around 1 hour, 120 minutes from the west coast of Tuscany, Castello della Pescaia, for example, which is a fantastic place. Just geographically is in a perfect place to create fantastic wines. But also Montalcino has an incredible story. Think about the first mentioning about Montalcino was in 900, because the abbey, the Church of Sant'Antimo, was already there, was built there. And Montalcino was a fantastic place with prosperity and peace until around the 1200, thankful to the manufacturers of leather. Still now, actually, in 2021, when you go to Tuscany, what you buy first? You buy a purse, you buy a pair of shoes, or belts. I like to collect belts, actually, from Tuscany. But between 1200 and 1600, stuff happened, and the economic decline started, because two big battles, well, many different big battles, war between Florence and Siena. So these two cities pretty much fight together to get the power of Tuscany. Between 1600 and 1800, and middle of 1800, also Montalcino was under the family of Medici, or the Grand Duchy of Tuscany, Grand Ducato di Toscana. So Montalcino, for several hundred years, was under all these rules and regulation. But finally, Italy was unified in 1861, and first Clemente Santi in the middle of 1800, and second of all, at the end of 1800, Ferruccio Biondisanti, they start to age Sangiovese, because farmers, even during the war, they were growing grapes and they were making wines, at least, to drink some wine at home. And as I said, Ferruccio Biondisanti aged for 10 years, the first time on oak, 100% Sangiovese. Let's jump to the 60s now, when, of course, the economic and the reputation of Montalcino grow, and around 11 producers start to make this beautiful wine called Brunello di Montalcino. And the reputation was one of the Italy's finest and rare wines since then. And now in 2021, we have roughly more, you guys know more than me, to the wineries, more than 200 producers in Montalcino. So long way from the 900 in 5 minutes of explanation to you guys. I hope you absorb a little bit of information. We will start on the northwest of Montalcino. We will travel to northeast. We will go down a little bit down on east side and deeply to the south with the last winery. The first winery of the day is Castello Romitorio, which means Castle of Romitorio. The winery is located on the west side of Montalcino, surrounded by forest all around. Incredible place. Sandro Chia, which started the project in 80s, gave to the son, Filippo, which is here today, when he was really young, the project of this beautiful place and land. And Filippo started at 360 degrees, all the aspects of the winery, of course, vineyards, wine cellar, commercial points, because when I talked with him, when he was 19 years old, he was already in the United States and started and selling his wine. So long story behind. I want to welcome to everybody Filippo Chia. Ciao Filippo.
Ciao, buonasera.
Ciao.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Serendipity, for having me and for attending this.
Thank you, grazie mille. Let's get straight to the first question, of course. Your story is, everybody have a long story, okay? But how everything started, how you fell in love with your land, your project, and tell us about it, please.
Well, I was privileged enough to have my father, who fell in love with this abandoned fortress in the forest in the north of Montalcino in the early 1980s. It was owned by a friend of his, the Baron Giorgio Franchetti, who sent him some photos. He was in New York doing a show for Gagosian, and soon after at the Guggenheim as an Italian traveling to New York as an artist, Italian artist. And this collector tried to convince my father to trade this fortress, abandoned fortress with no vineyards at the time, for a couple paintings. And basically, he bought it in 1984. I was born in 1983. So for me, I remember since the first days of, being able to talk or walk this incredible structure, which Romitorio means hermitage. So in the positive sense, it was a place for monks to reflect, as all hermitages are, they're apart from civilization, a little distant from everything. And in the negative sense, it was kind of a prison. In fact, it already exists on Roman maps as a prison for Christians running away from Rome. We have to think that Montalcino is on a very important ancient Roman road called the Cassia. So if Mozart or Leonardo da Vinci or any emperor were to be going to Rome, he'd have to pass. There was only two ways to Rome, but one of them passes right beneath the city. And the fortress, what you see today in the photos, was fortified for the battle against Florence, which is a battle you were describing earlier. What's very special about this fortress is that it doesn't have towers. It doesn't look like a classical castle. It looks more like a really kind of Tibetan monastery. And it's an island that erects out of the hill at 400 meters above sea level. And I have to say that as a child, I remember the first works in the vineyard reclaiming the fields that had been abandoned since the 60s, more or less. And we're the 42nd winery in Montalcino. So if there was 11 in the 60s, in the 1980s, at this early stage of the 1980s, there was 42. Today, I confirm there's probably 200, if not more.
Well, that is great. That is incredible. Of course, you have a lot more to say, but we keep it short.
Of course, short and sweet.
No,
but it's
okay.
a love story. It's a love story between
It
an
is.
artist and an incredible structure, an incredible place. And Montalcino is full of incredible people who have been attracted to this highly energetic kind of island rising out of these clay valleys. And since I was a child, I've always felt this kind of really incredible energy there, and you see it in the wines. So there's certainly something to say about that.
Beautiful character in a wines for sure. My second you is I know your father is an artist, pretty famous too actually. How you pretty much, I'm pretty sure you get from your father the artistic skills, okay, and how you translate sometime, I'm pretty sure most of the time, your artistic skills in the vineyards, or to create something cool at the winery which will you can use it or inside the wine cellar. Like I know, because I know these, you can create also tools, farming tools. Like how you project that?
Well, it's a cultural baggage which is shared by the territory and the people who come way before me. So it takes a lot of discipline and respect in terms of turning it into an art form. And I think all of us working with Sangiovese and Montalcino, whatever altitude, on whatever face of the hill, are artists. And what we create are time capsules in a way. And that's each vintage is a capsule of kind of photographing your territory, your clones of Sangiovese, your altitudes, but most importantly, how you've cared for the vineyard. I always say where energy goes, energy flows. So it's and the vineyard is a vine that is very easy for it to get wild, out of control. Takes a long time for it to harmonize with its environment. Low vigor, treating it the right way, not feeding it too much, too little, pruning, using your instinct to foresee whether to de-leaf or not. And also to try to see what your end result is. And that should reflect always the character of the producer. And most importantly, of the territory that you're working in. So in particular, I love, the countryside, and I see the hard work and the hands-on discipline it takes. So sometimes we have to, weld a tool, which is just specific for one particular vineyard. Or modify a scissor or whatever. Raise a wire, or fine tuning that over the course of many, many years, and most of all zoning. So understanding within one vineyard, there's so much soil variation, Montalcino, that within the same vineyard, you might also, not just because of the clones, but because of how they ripen, and because of the depth of the soil, or because of the level of calcium, or whatever, that they may react in a rainy vintage in one way and a warm vintage in the other. So it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of love, but it's like making a painting, or it's like making a piece of music.
Yeah, Filippo, that is awesome. And, I want to jump in this conversation about, when people says, oh, Brunello di Montalcino is a terroir-driven wine, no? Like how we explain the terroir, how, if we walk around your vineyards, what we see around that vineyards?
Well, when we talk about Brunello, we talk about a Sangiovese adapted to a specific terroir, correct? So we're actually talking about a very sensitive grape that has variable skin thickness, that has variable seed ripening, that has variable clones, small berry, big berry. Typically, the old world was the big berry. So I was fortunate enough, and you kind of, it's part of a hereditary thing. I didn't plant the original vineyards. My father planted them in the early 1980s, but with the help of Gianfranco Soldera, or the few guys that were around there that were in town and making wine. At the time, it was very few people. And that kind of contained culture and cultural baggage allows for the grape to modify itself within the territory. So when you talk about Sangiovese and Montalcino, it comes from hundreds of years of adaptation, and it really reacts very differently than other parts of Tuscany. So for sure, it's a terroir-driven wine. Our terroir is north. So the cooler the terroir, the thicker the skins. So I make a big, powerful mountain Brunello that's tending more towards kind of maybe the violet aspect, the rosemary and sage aspect, rather than the kind of bright cherry that you get sort of in the more clay valley type terroir. That said, we're in the north, so you can generalize that the north probably has darker, more powerful wines, and that has to do with sun exposure. The thicker the skin, the darker the wine, and that's not to say that it's better or worse. Some of the best wines in Montalcino are quite transparent and translucent, but each territory expresses itself in different ways, even the same grape. So what's beautiful about Montalcino is we have the southern side, the northern side. I'm in the bosco, so in the forest. So expressing this foresty, darker energy, one of the last to harvest probably in Montalcino. Not, I'm not for sure, but pretty positive about the tail end of the harvest season. So risky in a cold vintage, risky in a cool vintage. But certainly in with the trend happening now, it's become quite a revelation, this hill.
That is great. Thank you so much for the explanation of the terroir. Incredible. So after the terroir, of course, we got to talk about the wine, Filippo. Of course, the 2016, which one we tasting together. I see a lot of people already start to taste. I want to start with the label. If you have a briefly describe this label. Your labels are really artistic, of course. You explain why. What represent for you this label?
Well, the label is clearly a painting of my father's. It's a large oil painting, 3 meters by 16 meters. It was a big oil painting installed in a restaurant in New York in 1981. And when my father was just a wee boy from the streets of Florence, strangely enough, even with all the history of Florence and Siena, who migrated to New York to make his fortune with painting. He comes from humble backgrounds. And I think that this painting, the way I interpret it, is man meets nature. So the horse, which has always accompanied man or humankind in the work of the vineyards, along with the ox and so forth. And there's also something else to say, because this restaurant was called the Palio. And the Palio is one of the last tribal cultures in the Western Hemisphere. And Siena is very tribal in the sense that the town of Siena is divided into different neighborhoods. Each neighborhood has its horses, has its jockeys, has its coat of arms, has a very deeply ingrained culture that ends with one horse race, actually 2. And the prize of the horse race is a painting. So the highest level, it's not money, it's not, whatever, wine or food, but it's actually a painting. And over the course of the past 500 years, this horse race has become completely ingrained in Southern Tuscan culture. And is also reflected in Montalcino. So this is kind of an ode to all this ancient, kind of medieval culture, but interpreted in a very modern way. So it's a beautiful, in the background, you see kind of a futuristic, abstract thing happening, but it's hard to describe, I guess, a painting at times. Yes. But I'm better at probably describing the wines.
Filippo, let's jump to the wine. Of course, I have your beautiful 2016 in my glass over here.
Okay.
And tell us about the vinification will be and the how supposed to be taste, how it tastes, so and how you think he will develop.
I would start with
a few more minutes.
Okay, excellent. How many minutes do I have just to get it?
2-3 minutes.
Okay, so I would start just with the way we harvest. It's all by hand. It's by plots. Then it comes in the cellar and it's destemmed. And selected kind of grape by grape. So I have 4 or 5 people. I don't use optical banks, so it's all hand selected. It's the same team that's been making wine for 30 years. So my cellar master started with us when he was 16 years old and is still working with us. So it's about knowing the territories, knowing when to harvest what, and foreseeing what's happening. Then we're going into the cellar. We're doing open tank with lots of oxygen, because oxygen really helps the polymerization of the tannins. So we have really beautiful, silky tannins. As I said, we do long extractions. So open tank, conical tanks. We don't do pump overs, we do push downs. So it simulates the old system of the stick. And then the wine is going into the big barrels, classical big barrels, and a small part of second or third passage tonneau, 500 French barrels, very small part. And at the end, we're tasting, monitoring, putting everything back together. And it really expresses the energy of the forest, a powerful Brunello. I think very, very long-lived, obviously depending by the vintage. I can't, there's no way of saying that generalize across your whole production forever, that your wine's going to last forever. But this 16 is a wine that I suggest anyone to leave it open for a great deal of time. In fact, the little bottles that you probably are tasting now, it's showing quite well, because it's a wine that at this stage takes a little time to open, but that means that it's built for the long haul. So it's certainly a wine that expresses the dark northern part of Montalcino, high altitude, a mountain Brunello, but made with.
I can taste that. To be honest, fantastic expression on the nose, also on the mouth. Like you said, we opened this. I opened this bottle pretty much this morning, several hours ago, and it's beautiful. Like you said, it's a mountain Brunello. Filippo, I mean,
Leonardo.
Thank you so
Grazie.
much. Really.
Thank you all.
I really appreciate everything you said in the last 15 minutes, and
may I just add one thing?
Yes.
Really, Sangiovese is all about chiaroscuro. So it's very, very sensitive to the vintage. And the 16 is a great vintage, cold nights, and it tends towards that powerful kind of more scuro, the darker part of, well, maybe the 15s being a little warmer, thinner skins, more elegante, more accessible now. So you see just great variation, and you see it within the same vineyard. You see it within the system of Montalcino, which the rest of the team will describe. Yes. But it's a place full of fantastic, passionate, incredible people, and I'm so proud to be part of it. So
thank you, Filippo. Grazie mille. Grazie. I see people applauding. Well, let's go to the next one. Let's travel to northeast, and let's find a winery called Col di Lamo. This is a boutique, modern-looking winery. If you see the picture of the winery, I'm pretty sure you will see it really, really soon. Is in the northeast, as I said, looking at the Col d'Orcia. This is a winery, is the youngest winery of our group today, because the owner, which she graduated in law, but never really lost her family history in wine business, actually, because she's the daughter of Giovanni Neri. Her father started, pretty much was one of the pioneers of Montalcino, making Brunello di Montalcino in 70s. And this is an incredible story too. But you know, her story started on a wine business in 1997. She has this beautiful small piece of land and start to sell grapes. And she find out that this grape was added an incredible potential. So in 2003, she produced her first vintage. Youngest project, as I said, with a modern approach to show the world the power of women in the wine business. Everybody, Gianna Neri. Ciao Gianna.
Ciao.
Tutto bene? How you doing?
Very well, thank you very much.
Gianna, I know next to you, you have your daughter Diletta, which yes, I would love to see. Here we go. Ciao, Diletta.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
Well, Diletta will be the second generation of this beautiful project, hopefully for many, many years from today. Gianna, I want to start right away with the first question, if I may, se posso. I know you started later than everybody here in this group, because you are the youngest project. But can you let us know what to let you start? How you that kind of spark get in your head and says, I want to do this?
Yes, because I have not started later really, but I have started because I study for law, and I study for law. And after I make a lawyer, I study in the university. But really, my father have this farmer, and I love very much this kind of a project, and I help him when I don't study for law and I don't play lawyer for the PR and also for the communication. And after, when my father dead, when my father died, I must decide, because I have a very big problem with the mentality that is just a little bit in Italy, is just a little bit in a mentality that is masculine. So I must decide if sell or continue my farmer. And so I decided that I decided to divide the farmer of my father and take my part, and to create another farmer.
Because as a strong woman you are, because I know you pretty well, I'm not surprised you decide to start your own self project.
Yes, I think that I am strong because I decided to go I decided. So I must say that in Italy there is a mentality that is very masculine. So when I must decide if I want leave my farmer or I want to create another one. So I decide that I must I can create another farmer
and make a Col di Lamo. Col di Lamo, which mean hill of Lamo, no?
Yes, I mean Col di Lamo, because I decided to divide this little farmer, and I decided to divide and yes, and make and I created also this kind of wine of name, because is the 30% of this land I take, and I decided to give a name to create another farmer and to create another dream, because for me it's a real dream. Yes, because the 30% of this land is mine. I have only 4 hectares in Dalf, and I decided to growing this little land like my daughter. So now in this moment we have about 10 hectares, and in the moment that I decide to divide is because there is something that are not so good for me, that I don't understand, and I prefer to create another one. And I think that I realize a dream. For me, it's a dream because in Italy, for me, that I am not so young. So 20 years ago, the agriculture is a kind of a job that is not for women, but is for men. So it's very difficult for me sometimes to ask the money to the bank, or to ask something, because I am alone. For this reason, it's just a little bit more difficult. And when I give to this soil a name like my daughter, so and I growing this land like my daughter.
You have an extra daughter. You have the land.
Yes, it's my land. I am very proud to have created the Col di Lamo, and also I am very proud because I am very proud.
Gianna, I was lucky enough to be there a couple of years ago with my family. You remember that, to your winery. And I, of course, personally, I walk around and I felt the magic in the land. But to describe to everybody here in the chat right now, so how you feel when you walk around the vineyards? What you see around the vineyards? What particularity you can find in that part of Montalcino?
but I am very happy because I realized a dream. So I realized a dream. I realized a dream, and I make a farmer that growing like my daughter. So when I realize I am alone and I have no person that help me, so I realize a dream. And when I walk, I see behind my vineyard there is a Montalcino. In the right there is the Montagoli mountain. In front of my vineyard, there is a Valdorcia, that is a very beautiful place, that is a Patrimonio UNESCO. So I think that all my little work that I make again the main mentality, again the main mentality, again also the tradition. I am very proud because alone I realized this little dream, and my vineyard, I can see that growing like my daughter. So I give the name of my daughter Deleta, and I give to my farmer the name of Col di Lamo. And so I am very, very happy. And when I work in my vine, I realize my dream. So when you are in my cellar, before you enter, you can see a label where there is right, where is right, that is a very beautiful thing, phrases that is in the Little Prince, a maker of your life a dream, because it's a so for me. I am very also proud. So I am very proud, like a woman also.
Gianna, you the only one here, not because the other are not doing that thing I say now, you're the only one certified organic, if I'm correct, in this conversation. How you make your winery organic, like wine cellar, and your land organic, certified organic? Why this project?
Why this project? Because I should like to produce a kind of wine that is represent my soil, and also because I believe in the organic, because we must respect all. We must respect, especially the wine that are like us, that there is not very cheap, but are very are expensive. So I believe that we must respect all the world that are around us. So I decided to be organic, and I don't produce a lot of bottle because I have 10 hectares, and really I produce only in 3 kinds of wine, 30,000 bottles only. The farmer that have the same hectare produce, I think, maybe 60,000 or more.
Your label, okay? Can you explain to us why this label?
I want to have a label that is a profile of a woman, and that write this woman write by hand, Col di Lamo. Must be very simply, because this is a dream, and must have this color, because in this northeast there is a very beautiful, I think that a very beautiful area, because there is the green of the hill and the orange of the sunset. So I decided to make this very simple label, but that for me is very beautiful. Because I decided to be organic, I make all by hand. And for instance, I don't buy the yeast, but my yeast are made by a pied de couve. So I take my grape and I make yeast like you can make yeast by pizza that you make by hand. So I make my beautiful grape, and I put in a little still, and I make some. So I start the vinification with a pied de couve, and I don't use chemical in the vine, and also in by vine.
Talk about the vinification.
before the harvest, when we take the very beautiful grape in my vineyard, and we make a pied de couve with my grape, and I make with my grape my yeast. And after a few days that they started the fermentation, this little still, I started the vinification. I started the harvest, and when we started the harvest, we put our yeast make by ourselves, by our grape, into the still or the cement that are full up.
And after that, like in the wine cellar, how what is your philosophy of vinification? How you proceeded to create a Brunello di Montalcino?
My philosophy is that I want to produce a kind of a Brunello that is more natural that I can. So I would like to produce a kind of a Brunello that represent my soil, my land, that is the Northeast. So is more natural that I can, and I want to start to produce the wine from the grape. I don't want to produce the wine in the cellar, but from the grape. So all the vintage are different because the weather, the season are different. So the 24, 25, 26, 27 are all different. And I should like to produce, because for me, the beautiful and the power of the word is the power of the word is the difference. So,
of course,
the difference. Welcome to the difference, and I should like to produce my Brunello that is different, is organic, and represent my soil and represent my Northeast area.
Gianna, this wine is beautiful. The color is beautiful. The nose is fantastic. For sure, represent you as a woman in power.
Woman in power. Ciao. Ciao. Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you, grazie Gianna, grazie. Ci vediamo presto.
Ciao. Ciao.
So everybody, I'm pretty sure you hear clear what is the philosophy of Gianna, and on a northeast of Montalcino. Now we're going to the east of Montalcino, which we're talking about another family as 3 generations of winemaker over here. La Rasina, Brunello di Montalcino. I forgot to mention on a map every time we show the map of Montalcino, there is a yellow star, so you understand pretty much where geographically where we're going. So you can see from La Rasina, from Col di Lamo, now we're going to La Rasina. Sorry about that, I didn't mention that before. La Rasina is a winery located, as I said, on the east side of Montalcino, or we can say in Italian, la mattina, no? The good morning side. As I said, 3 generations in 50 years. Beautiful pictures all go around. Santi Montagoli, first in the 70s, and Vasco Montagoli after in the 80s, started this long project. From a small piece of land to around 11 different hectares. Marco now Montagoli, 3rd generation winemaker, farmer, and manager of the winery, is fully immersed to this beautiful project. Marco.
Ciao a tutti.
Hey.
How are you? Hello, everybody.
Hello, ciao Marco. Thank you so much for being here with us. Another such an honor, of course. Thank you for wait, and of course geographically you're the 3rd one. As I said, 3 generations in 50 years. We should talk maybe a couple hours about it, but we have roughly 15 minutes. Let's go straight to the first question I have for you. Of course, your father, his father passed it to his father. Your father passed it to you now. His experience, but you moved the winery from just a regular winery, to the next level. We know all that. And explain to us how you vision when you started as a young person. Of course, I guess you started in 20s. and tell us about a little bit your project.
Yes, for to start in the answer for your question, it's important to give me you understand my professional history, because my father in the 1997 decided to pass me the direct conduction or La Rasina direct to me. In the 1997, I was only 18 years old. This decision is a big risk for my father,
yes,
but I think is a great idea because create for me the opportunity to have all mistakes and more goal for to have the best results in the time in the next way. It's important for me to respond to have my answer, because the family for me is one point very important, because is the experience my father and my grandfather before create one way when our study is create a correct evaluation and correct way for the increase our activity. My idea, my philosophy, my project is the create to find the correct evolution inside the tradition, because I think the world change continually. In the same time, the idea, the wine, the mouths, the pleasure to the drink is changed with us. It's changed with us, and I test more time for to understand the word I like, and with the time I find what is the best. What is the best for me? The best expression, the Sangiovese, with a freshness, rich fruit, with a great expression in the color, bright, intensive, and very elegant and pleasant drink. This is my way. This is my research all years in condition all time different.
Okay. Well, you know, I never been at your winery. I came in 2019, but COVID happened. We all know. Well, hopefully I can come really soon to really touch with my hands, all of us, your philosophy on this. That is great. And also, you know, of course, I watch videos, I watch pictures. It looks like that place is a perfect place to shoot a movie. It's incredible because beautiful, smooth hills. On a side you have a Montalcino. Also, I see a lot barley, grano, all around, which I know you grow around there. And what the terroir of that piece of land you own over there, or that part of Montalcino? Tell us more about, a little bit more about the terroir and what we can find there.
The terroir, my farm, La Rasina, is 50 hectares in totally. When it's present, a different culture, traditional farm, because it's present the olive for the production, our important product in the Tuscany and in the whole Italy, and production the seeds, the grano, and for the first viticulture. But for have the correct answer for you, our terroir is different in the different zones of the farm. The percentage of the elements is different for the different zone the production. And for example, different vineyard is located in zone where the percentage is different, and we select the best plant for to have the best results for arrive at the vineyard. The element more important is the clay, the sand, the shell, and these different elements, in addition to the different micro elements, create the best situation for the best production. In the same time, Montalcino is important because the special movement the air create for the presence the Amiata mountain, and this condition is the best for to have the healthy vineyard. When the organic activity in agriculture, it's easy and help more for to have the best grape for to produce our wines.
Okay, that's great, Marco. That's awesome, really. I felt like I was there, to be honest. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sembrava che fossi lì con me a spiegarmi le cose davanti alle vigne. Ho immaginato veramente bene. Sorry, everybody, explain to him what I said. Well, after that, of course, the story of your philosophy and your family of the bee and the terroir. The last thing to do here is to taste the wine at the end, you know. I want to ask you another question specifically. I know year after year, your wine from a good Brunello di Montalcino, now in 2021, especially with 2016 vintage, became a really good wine. Okay, and but when I have discussion with you the other day, you said, well, also the 15 was a great vintage, also the 13 was great vintage, also the 12 was great vintage. So tell us more a little bit about the vintage of 2016 and the potential of the future vintages, and also the old vintages you had, the longevity of these wines. Hai capito?
Sì, ho capito.
Okay.
Your question is critical for the producer, because for the producer, all vintages is important. Is the final, the results of the work for 1 year, and we think our works is the same all years.
Yeah.
It's true. It's possible to have the great vintage when all situation is at the best. Correct rain, correct sun, correct moment when arrive the rain, or correct sun, with no stress. In this case, for us, for our producer, it's easy to have a very good results. But I think the know-how in Montalcino from our producer and the experience matured in the time create the condition for to have a great results in all vintages. And this is the I think the example, the maturity of the producer in Montalcino's country. For arrive at your question, I think 2015 and 16 is two great vintage. Have the capacity to drink now, but have a very important potential for in the time, because they have a very present tannins for the correct maturation in medium long time.
Okay.
For me, the 15 have tannins little present, and is 16 the very elegant tannins for drink now very well.
Okay, so today, thank you, Marco. Grazie. Today we tasting La Rasina 2015, but in the next few weeks we will have also the new vintage of La Rasina 2016. So I poured the wine in the glass, and during my tasting, because there's a little bit pleasure about this. This is the original label of the family, or you change a little bit in the years?
He started the history in the 88 with the first bottling with a similar label, and I changed only a point to have best visibility for the people. Okay. I don't change because it's the example of our history, our family, and I don't think correct to cancel our history.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Great explanation. So I'm tasting the wine. Please explain to us or tell us more about the 2015 and the vinification process in few words, because time is short.
Okay. No, allora, the vinification is, for me, is more important for all producers because it's the moment when we create our wines. All vineyard, part of the vineyard is worked separately. The first fermentation in steel tank and after we have a short time in the lidded booths for medium time, 10, 12 months, and continue in the big cask, in the botte, for other 14, 15 months. But okay. It's not only this system, the maturation. We have the presence, the tronco onico, ex tino, I don't know in English, when
vertical, I think it's a vertical oak.
This is not only the system, the vinification, because it's present in the same time the tini, where we vinificate a special lot the production for the Perzante special cru, the Brunello di Montalcino.
Okay. Marco, I just taste this wine. Of course, they represented the east side, like you said, the clay, the sand, the tannins are softer, like you said, and at the end they have a beautiful acidity. I personally, they're all great. There is no one is bad. We know they're Montalcino, different profile, different philosophy, but they're all great. Marco, you have been a great partner. Chat with you, and you were scared, you were using great. I think you did a great, and I'm more excited to meet you in person. Hopefully all of us, we can meet you in person soon. So thank you so much. Grazie mille, Marco. I'm honored to have you in our conversation here today. E Ilaria too, actually.
Thank you for your time, and I hope direct visit together.
Of course. Ciao, grazie. Rimanete, non andate via. So beautiful expression of Brunello, the last three. And now the last one, I'm kind of sad, to be honest, because I wish we have more time to go deeply in this conversation. So the next one, we're going south of Montalcino, just to present this winery, like I said, to the others, but especially also this one. We need a couple hours, but we don't have couple hours. So Ciacci Piccolomini d'Aragona. His long name, we'll explain everything right now about this long name or last name of the family. You can see we are center south of Montalcino. We're facing the Monte Amiata, and we have a beautiful wind from the coast coming into the valley. And of course, we'll talk more about it. So I want to start in this way with this winery. Ciacci family was a local family, purchased the property late 1877. Elda Ciacci married the Alberto Piccolomini d'Aragona. So the property became Ciacci Piccolomini d'Aragona Palace. In 85, long story short, in 85, Elda Ciacci passed away, and give the entire property to Giuseppe Bianchini, which is the grandfather of Alex and the father of Paolo and Lucia. But Giuseppe was already the farmer and the manager of the land for many, many years. And he introduced a modern technique that time grow quantities and also quality of the wine. Unfortunately, Giuseppe in 2004 died and left everything to in the hands of Paolo and Lucia, which are the son and the daughter. And now, again, long story short, in 2021, for several years, Alex managing the winery under the supervision of his father, Paolo. Well, I present to everybody Alex Bianchini. Alex, ciao, ci sei?
Ciao, ciao, sì, hi everybody.
Bene, bene. Really excited to have you two actually in this beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for wait. It's an honor, of course, to have you here. I know next to you, Nicoletta. I met both of you, and it was a pleasure for me to be at the winery a couple years ago. Alex, let's go straight to the conversation. And of course, my first question is how everything started with you in the winery. I guess your father let you start when you were a teenager. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the origin of the state, you have just say all the history, because the name of Ciacci Piccolomini d'Aragona is a marriage between the Count Alberto Piccolomini d'Aragona and the Countess Elda Ciacci. In 1985, my grandfather, the Countess, she left in heritage all the property, a noble property, and he started to turn a noble property into a real winery that we know nowadays. So I started only 6 years ago because I have studied, I live in Siena, and I started only in 26 years ago. And so I take care of the production part. So I like to stay in the vineyard, to stay in the cellar, follow all the process to making a wine. So the part of the business. I follow the whole because it's a family business. But I like to stay in a vineyard, to stay in the cellar. So this is a part that I prefer.
Okay, nice. Nice introduction of what you do. But can I ask you which part of the business you like most and less?
So just say I like to stay only in the vineyard, in the cellar, because the office work is very tired for me, and for this reason there is my sister Nicoletta and Mauro, so the three people that think the sales part. And my home, so the co-owner with my father Paolo, Lucia, for the administration part, and so I follow my father for the production part, and I love it.
Okay, nice. As I said at the beginning, I was lucky enough to be over there at the property a couple of days with my family a couple of years ago, and was the only one time in my life I spent pretty much the weekend at the property by myself. Nobody was there. You guys were off during the weekend, and the first time ever I had a winery for myself. That was an incredible experience. I walk around the vineyards. I did pretty much everything. Usually, there are tourists or other visitors. I got really lucky. Well, what I want to say is that I was walking around. Of course, I know about the microclimate over there. I know what looks like, but I like to hear from you how it's so special, that piece of land which your family owned for many years now. Explain to us a little bit more about it.
So we are located in the southeast slope of the municipality of Montalcino. And so we are very lucky because we have the north side, Montagmiata, and an hour far away, we have the coast of Tirreno Sea. So we have a very, very perfect microclimate, and the particular of this microclimate is the plus is our soil, because so we have a lot of galestro soil, but we are rich in a second step of the soil. We are rich of the clay, and so we have in our slope during the summer the temperature. So in the last years the climate changes, and so it's very, very hot during the summer here. But this soil give us an important quantity of the water, the humidity, and so this is important for us because so we hope that the climate is changing, but no always hot, very, very hot, because in the latest summer, for example, so we have the medium June, Juliet, so always never rain, very hot, but in August, during the final maturation of the grapes, we have a very, very good temperature range between day and night, and this give us the grapes the perfect maturation, perfect aroma. So for example, in the latest 20 years, the harvest time is anticipated, so medium 1 month, and we start with the Sangiovese at the middle of September, and 20 years ago we start at the middle of the October. So this is a very, very important climate change. Yes.
Well, talk about climate again. I know you as a family, as a winery, you're really on top of to make the microclimate work really well. Also, the microsystem around the property. I was there a couple of years ago, as I said, and you own a couple of wolves, I think. Is true?
Is couple wolves is okay, because my hunter. So my hunter have here near the cellar. This now only 3 wolves, but in at the region are 6 wolves. So, but because my hunter, she love the animal, so she are the children for him because
it's part of the ecosystem. So I love that when I see
exactly.
that. It's first time ever I see that in my life. Well, I would love to go into the part of your how vintage start and finish. So now we tasting with your winery. We don't taste just the Brunello di Montalcino, but we tasting the Brunello di Montalcino Pianrosso.
Exactly.
First of all, let's talk about this beautiful project. For how many years now you running as a family, and what achievement you got for the last few years, few vintages, incredible achievement with the rates and stuff like that.
Okay, so the name Pianrosso, because so my grandfather, when we started to plant the vineyard, he started in this particular area of our estate, are 11 hectares of the oldest vineyard now of our estate, and until 2000 we produce only Brunello Pianrosso. Since 2000 we produce Brunello Classico and Brunello Pianrosso. So the different is the vineyard, of course, and Brunello Pianrosso because is a particular area that the soil. So Pianrosso, it means red soil, because the minerality of Montamiata and give us our soil the red color. And for example, here there is so all our zona is near to our vineyard called the Terra Rossa for this reason. And this is a particular area, so rich in galestro, medium grain, and rich in clay in the second in the second step of our soil. Is a very, very particular area and give us this beautiful wine. And from this wine, this vineyard, but only in the best vintages, we produce also our Riserva Santa Caterina d'Oro.
Okay, and yeah, of course, let's go to the discussion. We have a couple more minutes. How you create this vintage is a 2016 Pian Rosso Ciacci Piccolomini d'Aragona. Tell us in few minutes the vinification process, if it's possible.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So we picked the harvest, we picked by hand. And when arrived the grapes in our cellar, the first fermentation, the alcoholic fermentation, starting stainless steel vats, the first step. After 1 month, only 1 other month in a concrete steel vats, and we put our wine after 3 months of the harvest in a big barrel of Slavonia oak, and we use only big barrel of Slavonia oak for 3 years for the Pian Rosso and for 30 months for our Brunello. And this is another difference between Brunello Pian Rosso and classic Brunello. So when we're talking about, for example, for this fantastic vintage, is because the condition of the weather it was perfect. But so I think in Montalcino in the latest 20-25 years, the medium quality of the wine is very, very high. And for example, in the vintage 2014, the very, very difficult vintage, but the winemaker in Montalcino decided to produce a less quantity, but to try to search a very, very big quality. And this Montalcino in the latest, I think, 20 years is very, very increased a lot.
Yeah, just tasting the wine during your beautiful presentation of the vintage is elegant, but at the same time is powerful. There are plums. There is a lot going on in the glass. It's incredible. I just tasted during the conversation, but I want to taste a little bit more later. Concentrate a little bit more.
So, because the characteristic of our wine, our slope is to give us a very, very powerful Brunello. So not only the balsamic on the floral notes, but a big structures, very, very important red fruit, black cherry. So it's a very, very important wine, and I think have a good longest further in the cellar. Absolutely.
Alex and Nicoletta, thank you so much. Another incredible historic property, in Montalcino, third generation of winemaking, incredible. I have a goosebumps now because we are done. But
we hope to see you soon here.
Of course, yes, we will try to, of course, come in Italy as soon as possible. I thank you again. I want to tell you I'm really honored to have this conversation with you, like the other wineries, and I'm looking forward to do more of these chats actually with you as our portfolio wineries in Montalcino, and do more business with you long time in the future. For Serendipity, as I said at the beginning, is really important to keep longevity with our relationship.
I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves on this deep dive series into Montalcino. Our next virtual event is going to be the deep dive into the biodynamic wine production. We'll have a panel with producers from around the world discussing methods and practices of biodynamic farming and how and why those methods yield such positive results in the glass. So look for communication from us on that. I'm going to pass it back to Leo for him to close the conversation out.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Karen. I want to thank the whole guest, our guest again, customers, the wineries. For me, it was an incredible an hour and 15 minutes conversation. I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody understood what is the potential of Montalcino from now to the next 20, 30, 40 years, and do business with you, for all of you. And saying that, I hope you guys support this important producer and be inspired to showcase their wines and in your list on your wine shops. For us, it's really important. Again, please, if you want to place any orders, I'm pretty sure you will. Contact your sales rep right away today and make orders, because we know that the allocations are not big and they will run out really soon. I want to say ciao, grazie mille. Thank you so much to everybody. And hopefully we see you soon at the Icon Series. Thank you, guys. Ciao.
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 Thank you.
A
Ciao a
presto.
tutti.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao a tutti.